Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota, and the Birds are at home for the first time this season. They're facing the Rams, and for them to get a win, they're going to have to correct some of the mistakes that led to the Week 1 loss. First of all, Carson Wentz, he had the 2 interceptions in his career. When he's had 2 interceptions, the next game, he cuts down on those turnovers, so that's good news. Ike Reese and Mike Quick, I bring you in now. How about the 8 sacks that the Eagles offensive line gave up? That is the most Carson has been sacked in his career. Ike Reese, how do they clean that up?
Well, it starts with all 5 of the guys being on the same page. I mean, the best offensive lines in the league, or the most effective offensive lines in the league, are the offensive lines that play as one. And I think that's what you notice more than anything Sunday, is that it just wasn't one area of weakness. There were several areas and several breakdowns along that entire offensive line. And then the quarterback has to do a better job of helping the offensive line out by not holding on to the football. Some of these things are very correctable with more film study. I think when you have a quarterback like Carson Wentz, part of his job responsibility is to make that offensive line's job a little bit easier, especially when it's depleted. So he has to do a better job getting the ball out of his hands quicker, and the guys up front have to do a better job of communicating.
And it is going to be great to have Lane Johnson and Miles Sanders back. Mike Quick, how about this? When Lane Johnson is not in the lineup under Doug Peterson, the Eagles only win 33% of the games. But when Lane Johnson plays, they win 70% of their plays. How big is it to have Lane and Miles back?
You know, that speaks to what Ike was saying. It's continuity. When you've got Lane on the field and you're going to have Miles Sanders back, you've got a lot better continuity because these guys have played together. They had some young guys in there, and I think the fortunate thing is that they weren't beaten physically. They made some mistakes, and these are mental mistakes, things that you can correct. And that's what I expect them to do during this week, to make sure that when they go into this game on Sunday against the Rams, a home opener, that everyone's on the same page. They understand the protections. They understand where the Rams are trying to break them down in protection, and they build that wall around Carson so that he can operate effectively without so much pressure.
And they are going to have to stop Aaron Donald. Guess what? In 3 career games against the Birds, Aaron Donald has no sacks. With more on that, here's Greg Cosell with Enemy Intel.
The Rams have a new defensive coordinator this year in Brandon Staley. And coming off that Week 1 victory over the Cowboys, he did some really impressive things. This is a defense that's very, very multiple with their front looks, particularly when they're in their sub-nickel and their sub-dime package. And of course, when you have Aaron Donald, you can do a lot of different things because Donald is a load and he's the focus of pretty much every offensive game plan. I can guarantee that every offensive coordinator in this league, and this will be the case for the Eagles as well, will say that we cannot let Aaron Donald wreck our game. But the Rams know that as well. So Donald can line up in multiple spots. One thing you will see is they line up out of sub-dime in what we call a tilted front. That means they have 3 defensive linemen to one side of the offensive center, and then they will have a defensive end / defensive tackle as a wide 9 opposite the tilted front. And they will also take a linebacker and move him around also on the side opposite the tilted front, because that linebacker can occupy a guard. On this particular play, with this tilted front and with the linebacker up on the line of scrimmage moving around, what do you get? You get Donald one-on-one on the left tackle. And Donald is so good, he's so quick, that even with his shorter stature, he can bend and he can skim the edge. And here, he sacks Jimmy Garoppolo. So this is a real tough challenge for an Eagles offensive line that's certainly going through some changes and is still a work in progress. So it's a tough assignment. And this Rams defense coming off that Week 1 victory, they looked very, very good.
All right, you've seen what Aaron Donald has done with Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips is gone from the Rams, but they do a lot of the same things. And Aaron Donald has the most quarterback hits and most pressures in the NFL over the last 3 years. He's a beast. Who else is a beast on that defense? Mike Quick. How about Jalen Ramsey and what he has brought to the Rams?
Hey, he's huge for them and what they like to do on the back end of their defense. They play a lot of zone, probably more zone than any other team in the National Football League. And they like to line him up to the boundary or to the short side of the field. He'll sometimes come up and pressure. If that receiver's out wide, he'll come up in a press look But this is a really good zone defense. They play it extremely well, and they know how to trap you on the outside.
All right, so if the Rams are playing that zone defense, Mike, how do you beat that zone?
Well, John, if you watch this play, first of all, it begins with a really nice play fake to Boston Scott off tackle. And that play fake, it's going to bring up the linebackers. That creates a void behind the linebackers, and then they're going to target that middle safety. John Hightower runs through the middle. He takes that middle safety out, and then Deshaun Jackson comes in on the end cut, that dagger cut. That's how you beat the zone coverage. That's an excellent zone beater, and it's perfectly executed by this offense.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, your new official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles. And by the Pennsylvania Lottery. Pick up your Eagles Fast Play ticket today.
Time to go. Let's go to work. Go to work. It's time to clock in. It's time to clock in. Let's go. Lead by example. Lead by example. Oh, good stop, boys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Keep doing what you do. Keep doing what you do. Every day. Every day. I appreciate you working out here, man. Give me better every day, man. I appreciate it.
That was great to hear Slay, or Big Play. Remember, he doesn't like to be called Darius, but we did learn the Darius Slay effect. He really held down Terry McLaurin by shadowing him and following him the whole game, so we love to see that. Ike Reese, how big of an effect did Darius have on the defense?
He had a huge effect. Let me tell you, I just get excited when I see Darius Slay or I hear Darius Slay. So excited to have him in his secondary. And I know Jim Schwartz must be even more excited to watch him this past Sunday shadow Terry McLaurin around just about everywhere. Jim Schwartz talked about Darius Slay being in 50 snaps of man-to-man coverage and only allowing 2 completions. But the confidence that he gives the secondary and the ability he gives Jim Schwartz to just lock him up on the other team's best receiver, what that allows the other guys to do is really focus in and bracket coverage other aspects of the team's offense and their other playmakers. So having a guy like Darius Slay in there is basically saying, I don't have to worry about number 24 and where I need to put him. Now I got 5 guys in coverage that I can play against 4 eligible receivers. That's an advantage for the defense. We saw that this past Sunday against Washington.
As Ike said, that allows you to do so many things, and especially when you go to sub packages. When you're going to bring in 5 defensive backs or 6 defensive backs, it's so much easier now to bracket, to double another guy because Slay has the ability to take away your number 1 target. And that's the way they're going to play going forward. Jim Schwartz, when he talks about Slay's ability to take the number 1 receiver away, you can see how excited he is about that. The possibilities for all of the other things that he now can do because you have the number 1 receiver locked down.
It feels good, doesn't it? Now, the Eagles are going to see a lot of motion, a lot of misdirection with this Sean McVay offense. With more on that, Darius Slay, what he can do with it, here's Greg Cosell.
This week, the Eagles' defense faces a tough assignment in the Rams' offense. Now, keep in mind, this Rams' offense under Sean McVay is very well defined. They do a lot of specific things. It's not that complicated, but it's very hard to defend because they do those things really well. What you see from this offense, play action boot, you see misdirection. There was a really good example last week in their opening game on their first possession against the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to see Goff under center. You're going to see Cam Akers as the eye back. Then you're going to see something the Rams do an awful lot of, jet action. And here it's Robert Woods with the jet action across the formation. Then you get the play. You're going to see play action boot. So Goff's going to fake the handoff to Akers on outside zone and then boot to his right. And what do you almost always get with play action boot? You get a backside crosser. That's what you get here with Josh Reynolds, the ex-receiver. And the Cowboys' second-level defenders play that. They're playing a tendency that almost every team has off play action boot. But here comes the misdirection element. This will be a screen back to Robert Woods to the boundary side of the field. But because of the misdirection element, what do you have? You have 3 offensive linemen out in front and only 1 Cowboys defender in position to make a play on Robert Woods. So Woods takes the screen with a lot of room to run, and this becomes a 30-plus yard explosive play on a ball that was basically thrown at the line of scrimmage. Now, there's a reason that the Rams did this against the Cowboys, and I think you'll see the same kind of thing against the Eagles. The Rams' approach against the Cowboys was really to get the ball out of Goff's hands quickly, either with the quick timing and rhythm pass game or misdirection plays like this, because they did not want the Cowboys' defensive front to be a factor. I think they'll feel the exact same way about the Eagles' defensive front. But the bottom line point is, the Rams are very good using the outside zone run game, either with the straight drop back by Jared Goff or with the boot action game. It's very, very difficult to defend because it causes defenders to play with their eyes and to play with their eyes incorrectly. So there's a lot of defensive discipline involved. It will be a tough assignment for the Eagles defense.
All right, a lot of motion, a lot of misdirection. Ike Reese, Jim Schwartz said in week 1 they only had 1 breakdown of assignments. So communication is the key pre-snap and during the play. How important is that going to be in this game?
Oh, it's very important. And I got to admit, I was very impressed with this new secondary and the way they were able to play assignment football this past week versus Washington. And when you talk about discipline, it's one of the traits you must have in a defense to be a good defense. Let's watch them on this play versus Washington last week. You're going to get the jet motion from Steven Sims Jr. And the first thing you notice is Jalen Mills and that secondary with the linebackers are communicating with each other. They rotate the coverage. They understand it's the pre-snap recognition. So what I gather from this is they immediately are alerted to the wide receiver screen based on the formation here. And at the snap of the ball, I like what Jalen Mills does here. When number 2 goes out, he doesn't chase number 2 out. His eyes immediately go to the number 1 receiver. He recognizes screen. He's able to get under the offensive lineman, not be blocked, and make this tackle on Terry McLaurin. The Rams run a lot of these very similar plays. We just saw one with Greg, with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. In order for the Eagles to keep the big plays down, they're going to have to be disciplined this week.
Nice debut for the Eagles' first-round draft pick. The rookie receiver Jalen Reagor caught a 55-yard pass in his first NFL game. Let's get a little tape study on him presented by Chickies and Pete's. Here's our own Fran Duffy.
Well, thanks, John. And this week here on Tape Study presented by Chickies and Pete's, we're going to break down Jalen Reagor, the rookie first-round pick for the Eagles out of TCU. Obviously got his career started with a bang this week against Washington. His first career catch, a 55-yard bomb on the second drive from quarterback Carson Wentz. And I want to just take a look at this catch and how it's an example of something that I saw out of Jalen Reagor when he was at TCU. And we're just going to start here. Here's Jalen Reagor at the bottom of the screen. You can see where he's located. He's right at the top of the numbers. All right, so if you're looking at this number right here, he's right on the top of those numbers. Look at the corner lined up across from him. That's former Eagle Ronald Darby. Where are his feet? He is inside the numbers. So right off the bat, pre-snap, Jalen Reagor knows that the corner across from him is playing with what is called outside leverage. He is playing outside of Jalen Reagor so that he can try and keep him inside, because you've got all these red jerseys on defense. He's trying to funnel Jalen Reagor to the inside, and he's trying to protect his outside, right? So he's trying to protect himself from any outbreaking route that's towards the sideline. So whether it's a fade, a deep out, or a comeback. So when you've got a corner in off coverage, you have to try and eat up that cushion as fast as possible. And when you are the kind of explosive athlete that Jalen Reagor is, you are able to do that. You can eat up grass in a hurry. So we're going to see Jalen Reagor here come off the ball and eat up that grass as fast as possible. And right about when he gets to this 30-yard line right here, all right, here's Jalen Reagor. I want you to look at Ronald Darby, and where are his hips pointed? They are starting to turn towards the field. He's starting to try and funnel Jalen Reagor towards his teammates in the middle of the field. Now, what Jalen Reagor does here, and again, look at where Jalen Reagor is positioned close to the numbers. It's such a great visual for us here. Instead of just running right at Darby and running to the post, because that's his route here, he is running a deep post route, he instead is going to widen his stem. So he is going to try and attack the outside shoulder of Darby. Why is he going to do that? Because he needs Darby to think that, oh man, I've got to make sure I protect myself against that fade. I have to protect myself against this deep out or this comeback route. So just watch Jalen Reagor here. Watch the body control right there. See how he's changing his angle, and now he's starting to attack the outside. Watch how that affects Ronald Darby. Darby now is going to chatter his feet. I'm going to bring it back just a second. He's going to chatter his feet and open his hips up right there. At this point, Darby is done. And this is where Jalen Reagor now is going back to that old saying, once you're even, you're leaving. He is now hip to hip with Ronald Darby. He now is going to take off toward the post, and you are going to see this short area burst here and his ability to pull away from coverage late. Outstanding job by Reagor here, but then also the ball tracking. All right, because right here at this point, he's looking back for this ball from Carson Wentz, and Carson is just about to deliver this football. Watch the job that Reagor does of tracking it over the shoulder, not losing sight of it, looking up at it through his eyelids, and still coming down with the football. Outstanding catch there from Jalen Reagor. So you had the release, the understanding of the corner's leverage, the route running, the burst late, and then the ability to finish over the shoulder. Just an outstanding job by Jalen Reagor on that play. Now, I do a lot with these college prospects on the Journey to the Draft podcast every single week, wherever podcasts can be found. And all last year, last fall, through the offseason, I talked about what I saw from Jalen Reagor on film at TCU, and he is one of the most explosive players in all of college football. People are underrating this guy. So happy that he ended up here in Philadelphia, because that catch, that 55-yarder this week against Washington, saw plays like that all the time from him at TCU. And here is a great example. This is from last fall against Texas Tech. You're going to see Reagor at the top of the screen, all right? He's going to be facing off against an off-coverage corner, same thing as we saw last week. And I want you to watch a lot of the similarities that we saw from that play against Ronald Darby. Again, Jalen Reagor is going to fly off his stance here. He's going to eat up that cushion, try and get right up on top of the corner's toes. And what is he going to do? He's going to attack the leverage of the corner. This time, it's a little bit different. Watch the corner. Instead of him opening up with his back to the sideline, his back is to the field. He's getting ready to open up. He sees, oh, Jalen Reagor is about to attack this way. I have to protect myself. Watch what Reagor does. He does the same thing. Works towards the sideline, and then he breaks towards the post. And you can see right there, he's at the top of his break. Now he creates that separation. You see that ability to pull away from the defender. He tracks this ball in, on the run, makes this catch, and takes it to the house. Just an outstanding job by Jalen Reagor, and this is an example of what we saw from him throughout the course of his college career at TCU. One of my favorite players to study on film last year during college football. Excited for him and his future here in Philadelphia.
Welcome back to Eagles Game Plan. We laid out the game plan. Of course, it starts with Eagles offensive line trying to slow down Aaron Donald. How about the Rams offense? They have the most passing plays of 20 or more yards over the last 3 years, so you don't want to give up the chunk plays. This is going to be a big test for the Eagles, and you can't sleep on the fact that the Rams are coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. They've won their last 4 trips to the East Coast and 1 o'clock games. It's going to be a tough one. Check out the kickoff show on PhiladelphiaEagles.com at 12:15. I am John Clark. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. Enjoy it. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, your new official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles. And by the Pennsylvania Lottery. Pick up your Eagles Fast Play ticket today.